Hi there, I'm Lisa from Mythical Witchery. Welcome to my channel, and if you've been here before, welcome back. The AI debate is one that is hot and getting hotter in the tarot and divination community. There are people who feel very strongly on both sides of the debate, and many more who fall somewhere in the middle, or who just don't really know what to think. The use of AI for creative projects is one that is going to be debated for years to come. Meanwhile, the tools used to create AI images are getting better and better, and it's becoming very difficult to determine what is AI and what is not. That is a huge concern. What's real? What's fake? But that is a whole other discussion, and not one that I'm prepared to undertake today. Being an artist and one who is in the process of hand painting a deck, as well as being a published writer, I have serious concerns about the use of AI when it comes to creative projects. However, I've discovered that it's not as simple as I wish it was. I'm not here today to try to convince anyone one way or another. I just want to share my personal experiences. One thing I know for sure is this: creators need to be completely upfront about whether or not they use AI so people can make informed decisions. I've heard about deck creators telling people emphatically that their decks are not AI, when in fact they are. I think it's wrong to try to deceive people just to sell your products. Creators need to be honest. My very first exposure to AI in the tarot world was the Everlasting Day Tarot by Marcus Katz and Tally Goodwin. When I backed this deck on Kickstarter, I had no idea that AI was even being used in decks. And even though it was clearly stated in the campaign, my brain just didn't register what that meant. All I knew was the deck looked beautiful. It had an ethereal, otherworldly quality that I thought was amazing. It wasn't until after the campaign ended that I started to see more and more decks pop up that all seemed to look kind of the same. You know what I mean. That ethereal quality with light that seems to glow. That's when I realized there was something wrong. As a matter of course, I do not buy AI decks knowingly. Not since this one anyway. But can there be exceptions to the rule? The answer to that is complicated. However, for me, the answer is yes. I believe there can be exceptions. I need to clearly state that I'm not suggesting that this is a rule that other people should follow. I want to be very, very clear about that. It's what I've decided is my rule for me, and that is all. So I'm not here today to show you the Tarot of the Everlasting Day, or I think that's what it's called, or Everlasting Day Tarot. Yeah, Tarot of the Everlasting Day. I am here, however, to share a different deck with you. This deck is one of the rare exceptions to my personal rule of not buying AI decks. At first, I'd like to share with you why this deck is an exception to my rule, and why I think there can be exceptions, at least for me personally. Once again, I'm not suggesting that anyone else should follow this rule or that they should agree. I would never tell anyone else what they should or should not buy and whether they should or should not support AI decks. I'm just saying this is my personal experience, and this is how I personally feel. This is the Haptic Tarot by Nicholas Jacobs. I knew this deck was AI when it was launched on Kickstarter. The creator of this deck was the tarot mentor of my very good friend Benny from The Fool's Apprentice. Even knowing how strongly I disliked AI, Benny encouraged me to take a careful look at Nick's deck, and so I did. The images, from what I could tell while looking at the project on the relatively small screen of my mobile phone, were really beautiful. But still, I hesitated. I spoke to Nick and expressed some of my concerns with AI, and he answered them in such an open, honest, and rational way that I was beginning to doubt my own view on AI decks under certain circumstances. At the end of the day, I decided not to back the deck. Actually, to be more accurate, I had backed it, argued back and forth with myself for weeks, and then I canceled my pledge. When Benny received his deck, I was once again faced with inner conflict and unable to stop myself. This time, using my desktop computer, I went to Nick's website where I was able to view the images in higher resolution. And I was blown away. This deck is beautiful. And I was really impressed by the steps that Nick took to ensure that the only art he used while generating the images came from a single source of public domain art by an early Renaissance Flemish artist who died more than 550 years ago. Jan van Eyck, who lived from 1390 to 1441. I probably said his name wrong. No point in apologizing, though he's not here to hear it. After generating the images for the cards, Nick did substantial modifications, manipulations, and edits in Photoshop. The deck has 79 cards, including an additional Major Arcana card. And these cards are slightly oversized, so they measure 3.5 by 5, so about Oracle sized really, or 88 by 126 millimeters. They're printed on premium quality 330 GSM black core cardstock and have a smooth matte finish. So they come in this 2-piece sturdy box, and it has thumb opening so it's easy to open. And the back says, in a world increasingly defined by digital interaction, the Haptic Tarot invites you to engage with the tactile sensations of the cards, tapping into their messages. Inspired by the works of early Renaissance Flemish artist Jan van Eyck, this deck dives into the secrets of the cards, where hands play a central role in expressing their unique language. Haptic relates to our sense of touch, and this deck guides you through a sensorial and tactile journey of self-discovery, inviting you to unveil profound connections with a harmonious blend of art history, design, and technology to fully activate your intuition. Now, I just want to say, when I decided to buy this deck, I put in my order and Nick had it shipped out the very next day. I received it within a couple of days. Now, that is going from the United States to the UK. I am incredibly impressed with his customer service, how quickly he handled it, and with the quality of the deck itself. So let's have a look here. That's the inside of the box. And these are the cards. And as I said, they are oversized. So more like the size of an Oracle deck. Oh, this one's got a little bit of a funny edge to it. Okay. So this is the little booklet. It's not a huge booklet. Gives a little bit about Nick in the back. Gives some spreads and a little bit of information on each card, including some keywords. So just the basics. Now, these are not edged in any way. I will not. Some decks I edge and some decks I don't. I don't think I will edge this one. Anyway, let's have a look at these cards. I'm going to zoom in a little bit closer so you can see these better. So, of course, the first thing that stands out about this is the white rose, which, of course, we see in the standard Rider-Waite-Smith deck. The Magician. One of the problems with AI, and still is a problem, is the fact that AI cannot handle hands or human body parts very well. But Nick was really careful to meticulously go through and make sure that things were as perfect as possible. I really love the art style here. As I said, this was modeled after a single artist's work from over 550 years ago. These are really, really beautiful. And no extra fingers. My first look through this, there were only a couple of cards that I love this Hermit, that I thought, it does kind of look AI to me. But most of them, no. Most of these cards do not look like AI. There are a couple that do, but not many. Which I think is remarkable when you consider the 79 cards. This is such a different deck, you know. I like that. I appreciate decks that are different and yet in their way still stay true to their Rider-Waite Smith imagery and messages. So this is the extra card, and it's called the Reader. I think it's a beautiful card. Now, I'm not sure if it was intentional or not, but the fingers don't quite line up in the mirror here. And again, that may have been an intentional choice on Nick's part. Or it could have just been AI making a mistake. But considering the fact that Nick was so meticulous with this, I kind of think that that was a conscious choice. That's my theory. The hands are really remarkable. This one, the thumb looks a little off to me here. Yeah, it looks a little bit too long to be a proper thumb right here. That's one of very few cards that I actually have an issue with here. That's interesting. What is that down there? Looks like there's a face in there, doesn't it? That's the Five of Cups. Interesting. Love those lilies. Here again we've got, and this is another of the few cards that I have an issue with, but we've got like 4 fingers here and a thumb, but it looks like there's an extra finger here. And please don't take this as me picking this apart, because I'm not. It's just I am hyper aware of the mistakes in AI. But as I said, there are very few mistakes in this deck. And as a general rule, they're not so blatant or obvious that it makes me uncomfortable. It's actually like really beautiful, really beautiful. But again, if you're the kind of person that, you know, like me, you do notice those things and it does bother you, then you may not be able to use a deck like this. With me, sometimes it's just a conscious choice not to allow it to bother me. But that's not always an easy thing to do, especially when you feel really strongly about something or when it impacts you personally. And in a way, AI impacts all creatives in a way that's a bit scary. But that's a whole other discussion. I love how the fingers here are going into the water for this Six of Swords, which of course is depicted in the Rider-Waite-Smith with the three people in the boat. Looks like a mother and child and someone pushing the boat through the water. He really paid attention to detail in this. I love the color palette that he chose, and yeah, it's got a beautiful feel to it. And as I said, what made this deck an exception for me is the fact that he didn't use for, you know, like the programs that he used, AI programs to create this, were not using any art that is, what am I trying to say here? It's not art that's been stolen from artists in the art community. It is 100% sourced on a single artist's work, an artist that died 550 years ago. So based on that alone, I'm comfortable with this. And as important as anything else, Nick is very upfront about it, very honest, and doesn't try to hide the truth just to make a sale. Which I think, for those creators that do that, I think that's completely unacceptable. Let people make a choice. Let people choose. Not everybody has an issue with AI. And some people like me are willing to make an exception in exceptional circumstances. But that honesty, that transparency is absolutely vital. Otherwise, there's a complete loss of trust. And that is not an energy that I want in a deck that I'm using for divination. Yeah, these are really, really beautiful. Love this card. Absolutely love this. So I'd love to hear your thoughts. What do you think of this deck? Isn't that gorgeous? Love this. And if you have some negative comments about AI, which is totally fine, because as a general rule, I feel the same. Just please keep things civil in the comments down below, because if arguments ensue, I will be deleting comments. I'm not going to stop people from expressing themselves, because I agree with a lot of the negative feelings about AI, and even if I didn't agree with those things, I think that we all have a right to express our opinions. Just keep things civil is all I'm saying. Mind you, I'm pretty sure that most people who watch my videos will do that anyway. I love this card. Of course, it's got a dog on it, so got a dog or a cat makes me happy. So, all right, I'm going to zoom back out and give these a shuffle and then have a few final thoughts. Okay, so these are slightly wider and very slightly longer than a typical tarot deck. But it is a really beautiful stock. Now, if your hands are very small, you may struggle with this. The extra width isn't a problem, but the extra length might be. The black core stock, though, makes this a beautiful shuffle. And also means that the deck is going to hold up to long-term use. I love the matte finish. We'll just see how these fan. Okay, so we've got a little bit of clumping with the fan. They don't slide, quite as nicely as some other cards that I have. However, that may or may not be an issue for you. But now, I'm just going to pick a card here and have a really quick look at the guidebook entry. So we have Justice. Okay, so going into the guidebook, he also talks in the guidebook here about the inspiration for the deck, the creative process, and we'll just find Justice. And the key words are balance, clarity, and equality. Linked to the scales, Justice rules with both heart and head. It surfaces when important decisions demand balanced thoughtfulness, asking you to choose the middle path and consider the impact of your actions. Embracing duality and breaking free of binary thought patterns can bring clarity to tough decisions. Now, I just want to look at the entry for the reader, which was that card we paused at it, where you had the hand touching the mirror. Okay, so reflection, duality, consideration. In readings, we often overlook the need to check in with ourselves, neglecting pauses to reflect on our feelings and thoughts. Taking these moments for introspection can deepen our understanding and connection to the cards we're dealt. Card 22, the reader draws from Van Eyck's personal motto, "As best I can," stylized as AAEIXHXAN, and I'm not sure what those mean. I'm not going to guess. Some art historians believe this signature not only reflects the artist's modest appreciation for his art, but also his ability to comprehend his own reality through the creative process. When this card appears in a reading, take a moment to acknowledge your abilities while also granting yourself grace, a sentiment we often forget as humans. Okay, so this is the Haptic Tarot, which is an AI deck that focuses on hands. And I think it's really beautiful, really beautiful. There are a couple of cards that to me, they do look AI, but they're not really horrible in your face kind of things. Yeah, this is one of those exceptions to the rule for me. There are very few times that I will make an exception, but this is one. So I'd love to hear what you think. Share your thoughts, your opinions in the comments down below. Please give this video a like if you like it, or dislike for that matter. That's totally fine. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Thank you so much for joining me today. Until next time, may love and laughter light your days. Bye for now.